Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a hot minute since I've shared anything or recorded. I definitely took a hiatus. So the biggest thing probably that I want to share is that I am trying a new sport. I made that video, things to consider before you hire a personal trainer or a coach, even the difference between what a coach and a personal trainer is. I'm used to having a coach to teach me a skill like Jiu Jitsu. And then for myself, I am certified. I know how to track my macros and write training plans, and I do it, for myself and for my clients. So I am dipping my toes or my high heels or whatever you want to say in going into the world of bodybuilding. I think that these are the fun part of bodybuilding. It's probably all of the pretty, heels, and you get to wear pretty jewelry and you get to wear sparkly heels and a really pretty suit, and you get to challenge yourself, and you get to push yourself farther than you've ever pushed yourself before, to reach a peak physical condition that would otherwise be unattainable if you allowed yourself to cheat, if you didn't push yourself on a personal level to that degree. And I just was really thinking about it, and I knew that if I did this, it would really, really help not only me as a person, but also my performance in the sport of Jiu Jitsu. Some people have wanted to know what my protocols are, and I will say that, you can probably get a good protocol for yourself by trying out like a macro calculator or, doing that type of thing. This is where a coach comes in. It's one thing to be in a general calorie deficit if you're just trying to lose weight, but it's a completely different picture when you are an athlete and when you need completely exact numbers. And honestly, my schedule and the things that I do can be tweaked and change week to week based on my journey. And for that reason, I actually got on to YouTube when I first thought of doing this journey, and I would look at other people who are similar heights and weights to me. But I'm telling you that my protocol and my own journey is completely different than everybody that I looked at on YouTube. And that's saying a lot because I'm a personal trainer and I just wanted to explore this new area and new sport. I have an understanding of the scientific ways that things work, but I would just caution everybody that put in the work that I explained in my video about hiring a personal trainer, being cautious when you hire one, but then also get a plan that is for your own body and have those discussions with your coach and make sure that, things are going well and that you're on your own journey. So, things are going really well. I, as I said, coached myself through my bulk, which was fine. Just for reference, if you want to know what I did, and like I said, your journey could be completely different. Your body is probably completely different than mine. But just for reference, I'm about 5'2". I'm short, and I was conditioned for Jiu Jitsu. I had really good cardio, and I definitely was strong. It wasn't that I hadn't lifted weights before, but it was just that my body was conditioned for something completely different. So I was probably averaging, if I'm not thinking about macros, probably around 1,600 to 2,000 calories a day when I wasn't tracking and I was just focused on Jiu Jitsu performance and getting around life every day. So in order to reach my goals, I knew that I needed to push my calories as high up as they possibly could. Otherwise, I knew that when I started cutting to do bodybuilding, it was going to be very, very difficult. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't do, is they don't spend that full year taking the time to actually push their calories up, and go through the fear of what if I gain 10 pounds, what if I'm not working hard enough, all that stuff. And they don't take that time and they don't push up. So like I said, I was able to push myself to about 2,300 to 2,500 calories for a full year, just lifting weights, not doing any cardio, and just tracking my steps. I was still moving quite a bit because we don't want to forsake our heart health in the midst of this, right? So I wanted to make sure that I did that, and I was really proud of myself. I did that, but then, like I said, as I cut, I ended up knowing that I needed a coach. So she changes my protocols week to week. Currently, I'm doing steps. I'm not doing a lot of cardio. I'm doing like maybe 25 minutes right now in the zone 2 at this first stage. And I think that we're probably going to be looking maybe late summer into maybe doing some shows. But I'm excited for it, excited for this journey. And I know that I've shared, vlogs of me traveling to like Paris and England. I do want to update my experiences traveling as well. And I'm hoping that this journey will lead me to even traveling more. I know that I've got some trips upcoming in the next year that I would love to share, because sometimes when we're, working in our normal lives, or we're trapped working at home from an office, sometimes it's nice to just go on YouTube and have a miniature virtual vacation and daydream about the places that we want to go. Because I feel like all of our goals in life and all of the doing in life starts as a daydream. You start daydreaming about a place, and of course daydreamed about, going on stage and, getting in really good, healthy physical condition before any of this happened. So I hope that my journey and sharing that helps you guys. And I'm on my way to the gym right now, and just gonna crank out a full body touch-up day and then do a little bit of cardio afterwards, and getting my steps in, and then just resting the evening before we start the work week back up again. So just wanted to share that, and might share a little bit of gym clips, and I'll share my progress pictures maybe a little later as I go on. I'm really proud of what we've done so far. We've cut about 10 pounds, and I haven't felt hungry. There's nothing weird. And I think that, that's a really big key, is that, you do it gradually, you do it smart. You don't do dumb things with your body, and your body treats you well. And so I guess those are just my random thoughts. My brain probably went everywhere, but thanks so much for listening, guys. Before I head to the gym, I'm just doing a little pre-food prep on the food prep, because it is Sunday, which is my food prep day. So if y'all don't know, you're supposed to rinse rice. That's my public service announcement. Don't be gross, rinse your rice. I just do it in the Instapot with some salt and water. Somebody told me, it was somebody from the Philippines, I think, that you're supposed to like rinse your rice, which was the first time I'd ever heard of it. And thank goodness I learned that before I went to college. This was not expensive. I used to have to do it in a bowl and then try not to pour the rice down the drain, but they make these now. It's the best thing ever. So you just rinse it out with cold water until it's clear. And then when you put it in the Instapot, they said to just, the person from the Philippines who taught me this said, like, you just stick your finger in, and the rice should, like, the water should be like that much above the rice, and it comes out perfectly every time. And then of course I love to use my Baja Gold salt, which I'm not sponsored by them, but it just makes everything taste so good. And I already put some in here, but I got the little ocean minerals that it's just easy to put them in a dropper and put them in my water. I'm currently doing a gallon of water a day, and I didn't realize that I needed more energy for my workouts adding this until I started just adding it here. Sometimes I'll add, do you guys remember I was on Trim Healthy Mama when I first started my health journey and YouTube recipes? If you go back way down to like the Kool-Aid Good Girl Moonshine and stuff, I still love to make those, and they still, help me to get my liquids that I need in every day, because sometimes water's boring. I like it now. but sometimes it's fun to make Kool-Aid Good Girl Moonshine, or make pretend Gatorade by adding apple cider vinegar and this and stevia to your water. So many variations of those. Their recipes are great, so I still do that. That's something that I still implement. I'm not doing the S&E meals because it's frankly just where I'm at. I just am a bodybuilder and an athlete, and I just don't know if that would necessarily work for somebody who's competing athletically, because I need quite a bit of carbs to fuel my muscles for the gym and for athletic performance. So that's currently where I'm at with that. I guess if you guys have any questions about why don't you do Trim Healthy Mama anymore now that you're a trainer, it's not that I'm against it. I think it can work really well, but if you have any questions, just comment below and ask. Feel free to ask. I'll try to get back to them. But yeah, I'll see if I can do a little video of me rinsing rice so that you know. All right, as promised, I'm gonna try to finish up my meal prep section with you and just give you an idea. This is kind of a dumb point, but make your containers something that you're excited about, because if you're excited about your containers and it's kind of fun to pull them out, then that's gonna help you commit to your success if it's fun. The other thing that I suggest is marinating your chicken. So this is just garlic, paprika, and salt and pepper. My kids are singing in the background, so there you go. And I just think that it really helps keep things, I'm not gonna say the word because I know you guys hate this word, but it keeps it not dry. So you can...
Moist.
So that really helps things to be tasty. And obviously I get the lean ground beef. There aren't any good or bad foods. I want to get that idea out of the way. Literally, you can meal prep absolutely anything. There's no good or bad foods. You just have your daily allowance. You have your goals.
What about cake?
People think that there's no benefit to cake. And my coach's philosophy, which I love, is F that. It's delicious and it does have a purpose. It might not serve you to getting on stage, but the point of food is to come together. And the point of food is to bring you joy, and it's a part of life, it's a part of living, it's what helps make everything richer in our lives. So another little hack that I love is, instead of cutting onions and slaving away, get yourself some seasoning blend. When I cook the ground beef, I'm just gonna toss this into the pan, and I'm gonna mix this up together, and I'm not gonna have to cry. So, another thing with meal prep is this counts. This absolutely counts as meal prep. Just get yourself a rotisserie chicken if you don't want to cook anything. That can absolutely work. The other thing that you're going to need is a scale. Don't guess. Don't glob over and guesstimate. If you eat 4 almonds, record 4 almonds. If you measure out your serving of rice, which white rice is 6 ounces, brown rice is 4, measure it, and then put it in your bowl, and then when you're on the go, you don't have to think about it. So, brainless, easy, make it as simple as possible. So without further ado, we're gonna get these ready, get the rice, the meat. Literally, you can kind of think of it as, I saw this illustration once of picking your food kind of like you're picking skins on a video game. You select your meat, scroll through, you select your starch, and you select your veggies, and you can have endless combinations and possibilities, and you never have to face food boredom. So, here we go. A little bit of a crowded countertop, but we've got meal prep going on and Ninja Creamies. And then I have my roast turkey breast in the oven. So I have all of the ingredients in here. We have 1 serving of almond milk is 240 milliliters, so we have 480 milliliters of unsweetened almond milk. We have 1 package of sugar-free pudding divided between these 5, so not perfect, but just a little less than what a serving would be to just kind of sweeten it up with the vanilla. And then just 1 scoop of the protein, which I just plugged it into my FitnessPal. Let's see if we can see that here. So 230 calories, 10 grams of carbs, 7 grams of fat, and 32 grams of protein for an entire container. So I'm gonna mix these up, freeze them 24 hours, and let the creamy do its work. This is probably gonna show up backwards, isn't it? Love you. Love you. Okay, so I wanted to sit down and do a little update. We're not really sure. We filmed other videos for the other channel where we do jujitsu, and we're just really not sure what happened to the footage. I know some of the meal preps and stuff are saved on my phone, but we've just been so busy. We have had so much to do, and I feel like I haven't had time to sit down and do a video and update anything. Without further ado, grab your coffee. I've got my decaf sugar-free white chocolate coconut and a little fat-free Ready Whip in my decaf, and here we go. So I don't know if I went over this in the last footage, but a big question I probably just want to answer for y'all is, why did you go from jiu-jitsu to bodybuilding? And to be honest, I actually learned about bodybuilding before I was ever in jiu-jitsu. I would look at the girls in their sparkly bikinis and I thought that they were just so pretty. I love sequins, I love girly things. And it was always just like, well, that's a really great thing for them. But then I became a personal trainer, and the gym where I first did my internship was just, it had a lot of competitors in it, both men and women. And I wouldn't say a lot because I live in a small town, but it had competitors in there, and they really encouraged me, why don't you get on stage? Why don't you train for this? And I didn't really have an answer of, you know, why I shouldn't do it. I did end up having my 3rd baby, and life got in the way. And then shortly after I had my 3rd baby, I discovered jiu-jitsu, and that was absolutely revolutionary for me. So I'm this young personal trainer, at the time 2 years a personal trainer with a newborn, and about, you know, a year, when the baby was about a few months to a year old, discovering jiu-jitsu and becoming absolutely obsessed. It revolutionized my life and did so many good things in so many ways. The bodybuilding just kind of took a back burner. So that happens, life happens, and then it just was one of those things where as I competed in Jiu Jitsu and I got healthier and healthier and stronger, it was still just this little thing in the back of my mind of like, well, maybe someday. And then it became eventually like, the baby is old enough, you know, have the opportunity to do this. I took some trips that were on a bucket list traveling, and I was like, okay, well, what would this take? So I preliminarily asked some of my friends who'd competed, and they asked me, well, what's your training schedule like? And those of you that do jiu-jitsu know, if you're in a point where you are competing in jiu-jitsu and it's all consuming, it's quite a bit of your time. And you know, you go to class and you only mean to go to one class, and then you end up doing 2 classes and the boxing class. Because you just want to get better and better. You want your cardio to go higher and higher, and you want to weight lift on top of that. So as I was talking to them about what it would take to do bodybuilding, they were like, unless you want to do like 12 hours of working out every day, you got to take a break from it. So then it was always this point of like, jiu-jitsu, bodybuilding, jiu-jitsu, bodybuilding. And finally, life just kind of lined up in the right way to where I did my last jiu-jitsu competition in 2023, IBJJF, and decided, okay, this is when I can do this. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it really well. And being a personal trainer and seeing some of my friends going through prep, I kind of had an idea of what I would need to do. So immediately after doing my last competition in St. Louis, I started a building phase because I knew that I needed to put on a lot of muscle. I knew I needed to get really strong. And I knew that even for jiu-jitsu, I needed to be so much stronger with so much more muscularity than I had. It pushes you to your absolute limit in that sport. So I started pushing my calories up slowly. I started training less, believe it or not. I was doing a lot of cardio, as those of you know. So I had to slowly wean myself off. I pushed just steps. I was only doing steps and then lifting really, really heavy. And I was able in that off season to push my calories up to 2,500 per day, sometimes all the way up to 3,000, depending on if I was doing like leg day or not. And did I put on weight? Yes, but I didn't blow up, if that makes sense. So I would say that the way that I did it was really intentional, and that I actually look back on 2023 to 2024 in my building season, and I'm really, really dang proud of myself for the way that I handled it. And to be honest, as someone who's 5'2", it wasn't fun eating that much. I know that everyone's like, ooh, 3,000 calories almost, and it's like, it's not donuts. It really isn't. It's not fun. Like, I remember reading an article, I think it was like some superhero, maybe it was like Chris Hemsworth or Captain America, was talking about their regimen for training for a role. And, you know, they have crazy numbers, like 7,000 calories, but literally you want to look at a chicken breast and cry, because it's just, it takes so much to build muscle in a strategic way that no, I wasn't eating 3,000 calories of donuts all the time. It was steak, it was chicken, it was greens, fruits, good macronutrient dense food. So I got to a point where I talked to a lot of people, and being a trainer, knowing macros myself with my specialties, at first I was a little bit stubborn, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna do it myself. I've seen it, I know the process, science is science, right? But then you actually go to do it. And I am so glad that I did not do this prep myself. And even some of my seasoned athlete friends, one of them said, hey, I've done this 8 times. The last one I did myself, and I'll never do it again. And that was a big wake-up call to me. So I knew that mentally I might not see myself the way that I needed to see myself. I had goals of like, we're not just gonna do, once we hit the cut, I knew that I didn't want to do like immediate drop in calories and 3 hours of cardio and crazy extremes that would be unsustainable and throw my body into a shock. So I had a lot of commitments, and the problem with having the commitments to do it the healthy way is that there's not a lot of people out there, I would say, a lot of the time. Maybe it's about 50-50. Maybe I shouldn't even say that, but they don't want to do it the healthy way because the fitness industry is a really profitable industry. And so what I did was I ended up calling a lot of people who were coaches online. I was like, okay, they looked really good on stage. They did really well. You know, I would look at their bios and it looked like they had athletes that did really well. And one thing led to another, and I kid you not, I interviewed about 15 to 20 people. And being a personal, I didn't share right away on the calls that I was a personal trainer myself, but I would ask very strategic questions. I asked them about their preps. I asked them what they did with their athletes. I would kind of follow up and see, you know, if they had an athlete compete, what does their Instagram look like a year or two later? Are they even on Instagram? Are they ashamed because they blew up and now they have disordered eating patterns with food? Because I wanted to safely push myself to the best that I could reach. And I wanted to not do this halfway, and I wanted to do it well, but I also wanted to do it in a really healthy way. And even, you know, just realizing the best coaches have coaches. It's just the truth. Like, I am not like ashamed of not having a coach beforehand, but at the same time, I know that without her, I have reached levels that I could never reach myself. We've done things very gradually. We've had a longer prep that started in January and it's now June. And I got a DEXA scan before I started. I want to say I was like 128 pounds when I first started out in my highest like muscle building phase. And I was even really proud of my DEXA scan at the time because I was so impressed with seeing the bone density and how much just weightlifting and being active has completely taken osteoporosis off the table in the future for me. Like, this is an investment in my long-term health and in myself. And I am so excited for that because it means I can do the things I love longer. So right now, well, let's go back to what I'm doing as far as prep goes. So our plan strategically was starting where I was at, 128 pounds, DEXA scan at the muscularity that I was, and I'll put a side-by-side of the DEXA scan. I actually can't remember what the fat percentage said that I was at. It wasn't bad, it was healthy, it's like normal. And just for fun, I will also include my in-body scan, because one thing that I like to do is see the accuracies of different measuring systems along the way. So if you're a nerd like me and you love to do it, I did the proper prep for my DEXA scan, and it's very similar to the in-body prep that you need to do. So what I did was I got my DEXA scan and then I went right across the street and got my in-body scan. And it was very interesting. The in-body did have me lower, I remember. But I can put all of those along the way because I know a lot of you, I'll try to bookmark this, but I know a lot of you watch these videos going like, maybe you're thinking about prep, or maybe you're just curious about like, am I doing 900 calories and 4 hours of cardio a day? And the answer is no. It's actually very normal. I think in January we started out with close to 200 carbs and 50 grams of fat. It's changed a lot, but like very normal. Just, you started out eating normal, 25 minutes of cardio, zone 2, I've always done the elliptical and just walking the entire time and just stayed as consistent as possible. And then we check in week after week, we see how I'm doing during the week, and then gradually the dial comes down a little bit. So then let's say after the first couple weeks to a month, you're suddenly on 180 grams of carbs or 185, and then you're 175, and then it's just very, very gradually to where I almost didn't notice it going down during the process because it was so gradual. And it wasn't until I probably hit about 130 carbs that I was like, wait a minute, I can't have the apple that I want to have. I was used to having 2 apples a day, or an apple and some strawberries. And you just, you know, that's the point where it's like, okay, we're gonna push a little bit. And then because we had a diet break, I ended up taking my diet break when Satya and I went to Italy, which was absolutely amazing. Coming back, so basically during my diet break, we kind of took off the limits, but like I also didn't eat like a butthead. I don't know how else to put it, but like I thoroughly enjoyed myself in Italy. I didn't bring a food scale with me. I didn't bring my regular scale with me. I would have, but they lost our luggage and didn't send it to Rome, and then it took them forever to get back to us. And on that trip, Satya proposed, which was really, really exciting. Throw together a last minute plan to redo the ring part of the proposal because obviously lost luggage, didn't have a ring, didn't have my scale. So we just, you know, in our travels, we had to, I'm one of those people that love to see everything. So I think the first day that I was there, I'm at about 12,000 steps a day average, and of course a little more. Sometimes I get 12 to 15 during prep, but we seriously got almost 50,000 steps the first day that we were there. Now part of that is staying up 24 hours for the time change, and going through the airport and hauling luggage and doing all the things that you don't think about. But I ate the pasta, I had lattes with milk, and oh my goodness, do they eat bread over there. So I would say I was easily back up to 200, 250 carbs a day. We went definitely back up to maintenance. And when I came back from my trip, I was at least about 4 pounds lighter coming back, even on the diet break, even with no weightlifting for almost 2 weeks. And then we just kind of got that reset, went right back into our training protocol. So I don't know exactly how the edit of this video is gonna go, but I'm hoping to show you kind of like my journey of from January until now. Like, just really, it's just about being consistent and turning the dial down and getting stronger and stronger. My hip thrust went from about 120 pounds to now I'm pushing up to 300 pounds. And that is amazing for both longevity, Jiu Jitsu, which all of you know if you do those sports, like having strong hip flexors is everything, and also just overall physique and strength. So I'm really excited about the ways that I've been able to push myself and grow. I've been really excited that I've been able to stick to a plan and be consistent. And I'm aware that we're about 52 days out from my show, and I'm really excited for it. I know that it's going to be pushing, and there's been a lot of pivots that we've had to do in the midst of the training, which is why, if you're considering this, or if you're my height and you're looking at YouTube videos to see, okay, like what are other people doing in my height class and different things, I would just say, like, hire a coach. So the other thing that I did that was really important, other than hiring a coach, was going to seminars about the sport, which if you're in Jiu Jitsu, you go to seminars about your sport, you learn from the best. If you're in bodybuilding, you go to seminars, you learn the sport before you compete, and you learn from the best. So the NPC was throwing a free workshop, the women's workshop, and I wasn't able to go, but I watched it online, and gold, gold, gold. I would probably not have survived like prep. I've just so many things that I would have missed not listening to that live stream and hearing from those that had gone before, the best of the best, learning the history of the sport, learning from other moms like Whitney Jones. And I ended up going to Lion's Lair where she was giving the seminar. Gold. Just learning how to front pose, learning posing endurance, seeing the different divisions, and seeing how all of them were prepping equally as hard, and even seeing the facility, like going to a new gym and being like, whoa, this equipment is amazing. We don't have this in my small town. But I have to say that I just grew so much. Like, even holding that front pose, I don't sweat very much, even in cardio. I know that might sound kind of gross, but I'm used to Jiu Jitsu. I'm used to being in a gi and like wrestling other people in giant pajamas. So going to the gym, I do challenge myself. I just don't sweat a lot. But oh my goodness, when I was holding that front pose at the seminar and we were practicing our posing endurance, I was like, ew, I feel gross. And I looked down and there's like beads of sweat and I'm like, I am gross. I was posing so hard that I was sweating. And that was gold to learn from her. And we meet so many people when we get outside of our bubble and go to a different town or go to a seminar. And I love meeting people. I love networking with people. It was a lot of fun. And that was also when I got to do the Manitou Incline in Colorado Springs, just for funsies. And it's an amazing view if you ever get to go and do it. So highly recommend. As soon as you start training, I would say start posing and just practice, practice, practice. And if you're not sure about which division you want to choose, like I started my prep in bikini, and then in the middle of it, they announced this new fit model division. And I'm like, wait, what's this all about? You know, so then kind of seeing, well, what does that division do? And, you know, even looking over and being like, what are those wellness girls doing over there? And seeing what fits your body, what fits your posing, and just, you know, learning so many things. And the journey of doing things that are challenging and doing things that are hard, you know, like Sid said in the seminar, and it really stuck with me. She's like, this sport is meant to break you. And, you know, mentally, I would say Jiu Jitsu is very similar to that. Like, I would say Jiu Jitsu is meant to break you mentally, physically. Like, it's about your endurance, it's about learning, it's about overcoming, and about the person that you're going to become on that journey of doing the hard things. So, you know, I know that I signed up for something hard. You know, just like in my other sport, I signed up for something hard. When I became a mother, I knew that I signed up for something that was hard. But it's all about who you become in the journey and the habits that you make. And I would say, yeah, it's not really fun at the end of the day when you've had a long day and you haven't had enough sleep and the kids are acting up, you know, to be like, oh, I can't go to the fridge and eat ice cream. I can't go cope in the ways that I usually would go cope. I have to warm up this pre-portioned pre-meal plan, and you know, you're not gonna starve, you're gonna have your needs met, but you're also not gonna have that extra comfort that extra go-to. So you find out where you are, and, you know, let's say it's at the end of the day and you don't want to, you know, walk, and you see that you're like 3,000 steps short. Well, clean the house. I get a couple thousand steps rage cleaning the house all the time. So, you know, it's like suddenly in prep, you know, you've got your bank accounts better than they've ever been because you've got discipline and you're not buying as much food because you're strategic about what you're going to eat, what your family's going to eat, what you're going to do. You're strategic about your activities. You're going to the gym, so you're not like going out and shopping as much because you don't have time to go shopping because you have goals. And the house ends up being cleaner because you need the steps, so you go ahead and you get up. Whereas before you might be tempted to just be like, okay, I'm just so stressed I need to watch TV. Well, no, you don't have that option. I feel like I've become, I am becoming the best version of myself that I possibly can be for myself and for everyone around me. And when you reach and become the person that is in your highest state, it's just better for everyone. And I don't feel like I'm done. I feel like when I was postpartum and I went through my first big weight loss, that was like, yes, I've reached for the highest that I can be. Boom. Then the ceiling becomes the floor. Then it's like, okay, well, what's your next level? And then you find the next thing and the next thing. And it all just happens along your journey. And suddenly it's like walking, like you're off balance, but suddenly you're going somewhere. And I'm just really happy with the journey so far. And I'm really happy with the person that I'm becoming, and I think that's what makes it all worth it. You know, even just healing, like this sport has caused me to seek balance and to seek healing. Like I'm finally getting, you know, some physical stuff going on, some dry needling, you know, getting my chiropractic and my muscles all lined up, and that makes you feel better during the day. You know, the workouts release the endorphins. You feel like a better, happier person, and there's just a security in being like, oh, it's finally measured, I'm being held accountable, and I know exactly how much I need in my life. So I'm going to continue posing seminars. I always, you know, throw something on the calendar with Lexi if I'm ever unsure about my posing, unsure of what I need to do, but mostly it's endurance and it's practice, practice, practice. So we'll see where we go in the next 50 plus days, and I'll keep you guys updated. Probably not the best angle. I've got the camera all propped up here, but some of the things that I've been learning as I go through this is just like, you can always eat it tomorrow. You know, sometimes you feel like when you're on a journey, reaching your goals in this way, you feel like, oh, I'm all out, and you can kind of feel disappointed. And one thing I've always thought of is, you know what, that thing is going to be there tomorrow. That avocado that I couldn't have today, I can put it in tomorrow. And you just learn how to allot things differently so that you can stay within your healthy macros or healthy goals. And I think that our society kind of gets into this mentality of, you know, like we're up late at night and sometimes we'll lose sleep, like cramming food that we think we need to eat, that we think we're going to miss out on into our bodies that we really don't need. And I just think that it's really healthy to be like, no, let's prioritize sleep. We can eat the thing tomorrow. We can put it in our macros tomorrow and treat ourselves well instead of having that fear of missing out. So I think that keeps people in a trap, and it's something that I wouldn't have ever realized if I hadn't gone through this process. So healthier mentality. You can always eat it tomorrow. Everything will be there tomorrow. You can have your peace. You can have your sleep. The other thing that I think I realized in going through this process is just for those that track on apps and MyFitnessPal, I can't tell you how many times I've had to double and triple check because I've just gotten so used to scanning it or putting it in and trusting, well, this is probably about right. But when you're going through a process like this, it's very important to be exact. And some of the pitfalls that I've run into is like Starbucks cold foam, for example. It has to be so exact in the macros that if you just type in cold foam and then you don't verify, you could be only getting the carbs or only getting half of the picture. Whereas you need to actually go to the website when you're eating out and compare what's in MyFitnessPal to what's on the site, and I know that that's kind of a pain, but not everything is verified in that database, or it's not always accurate, even if it has a green check mark. So, you know, like if you record a packet of stevia, for example, it'll say one thing, and then you go, if you have like a scooper bag or a slightly different version of the stevia, sometimes it will have 7 grams of carbs in it. And when you're getting this close, you know, to the end of things, my coach likes to say prep is a funnel. So you start very broad, and then as you get closer and closer, you get more exact. And as you're getting more and more exact in your readings, you find these things out. And so if it helps anyone on the same journey, double, triple check your macros against the website, against your logging, and don't make those mistakes if you can avoid them. And make sure that your food scale always has good batteries and that you're just being as precise as you possibly can. And not just eating out of a scale or out of boredom, but within those parameters, I think this is where the growth happens. Finding the joy and finding the flavor and finding the things that you really love, so that it's not a boring meal, it's not an unenjoyable meal, but it's an intentional meal. And I think that that's been a tool that I've learned as well. Check-ins for Lexi. No, the camera angle's not right. I have to put it back up and back this thing up again. This is so frustrating. Just need a full-time camera person for this season.
Man, I did that job already.
Okay, you can see the feet. All right. Pose like this. It's hard because of the camera angle. Like, if you pose just a little bit the wrong way, it's not gonna look like she. Alright, let's give this a go. Also, the wrong angle makes this look like it's, I'm gonna face a little bit more this way, square up a little more. When your trainer is over 1,000 miles away. Okay. But now you can't see my feet. This is so frustrating. Because if you pose at the wrong angle, they're gonna be like, don't forget to bring your arm out. But it's not. It's because, yeah, this is frustrating. And now I can't. Can you pull that back? If I do this, it's gonna anchor leg, straight knee. But it should also be like I have no waist. All right, here we go. Gonna try one more with the arm. I don't feel that in my back butt like I should. Nope. Okay. Get the tiniest part of the waist and the hips. Okay. So right here. Let's see. Oh my gosh, it did go down. Okay, okay. I think Lexi will be happy about that. Got 24. And I think these are my hips. My glutes are down there, these are my hips. There can't be that big of a difference, can there? Okay. Oh. Filling out what I did during the week. How many sessions, hour of cardio. Okay. Say it's moderate. How many steps I took during the day. To go back on my FitnessPal and see. So, got my weights logged. Compared against the in-body as well, because my scale was kind of going out here. All right. Just arrived in Tampa at the hotel, and I didn't bring the big fancy camera. There wasn't room. I've been up since 4 a.m. this morning because our town is super small. So the flights leave early, and it just creates kind of long layovers, long day when you have to make several connections. But we're here. I'm gonna crush this workout. I've had all my chicken and everything traveling with me in little baggies I can show. But wow, we're here, and all this preparation has led to this point. So let's go get that first peak week workout. I need to get a new bag so bad. So this broke open after the first flight because the zipper wasn't quite zipped up all the way. I have this handle finagled to here, and it's imbalanced and it falls over constantly. I need to have a new solution. You'd think as much as I travel all over the world and all over the United States that I would have this figured out by now, especially with 3 kids, because I pack for them and they have no trouble, but I haven't taken the time to do this and figure this out for myself. So send help. So you guys can tell me A+, A-, D- on my packing skills. I have condiments and salt and sugar all in here. Can't do stevia or anything artificial right now. These I knew would get flattened, but these are mostly for the journey home. Can't have any of these right now, but I have all of these for post-show. And then I have extra gum for the flight. Got my extra nails in case anything's pop off. Teeth whitener. All of my clothes fit in these two little compartments here. Believe it or not, the majority of this was pump-up bands, my blanket for backstage, my black bedding for the next hotel that I'm staying in, and my food. Because, you know, you've gotta weigh everything. Had this one for the airport. My favorites over here. I had the hardest time finding travel-friendly honey, so shout out, thank God, for Bjorn's honey in Denver, Colorado. All right, I'm gonna go unpack all this and put it in the fridge, but literally almost none of this is actual stuff. Most of this is food and bedding, and then my 2 suits and my heels and my workout gear is all lined up in this bag, which unfortunately is on its last little leg. And these are things that I stole to cut up avocados from a place where I ordered an Americano from. And we're gonna get some good sleep. So how do we keep the chicken cold? Pack it up with frozen veggies. And that stayed cold, thank goodness. Got all the avocados. This was all packed in there. Most of this is stuff for show day. Quick sugars, this stuff. But these, I'm eating all of that with my chicken. We're actually really high in macros right now compared to where I've been at. It kind of feels sinful. It just doesn't feel right after cutting so much, and now I feel like I get to eat all this, like a whole avocado, and just kind of plays with your mind a little bit, but they're gonna wonder why I've taken all the salt packets. They're gonna be like, whoa, she's crazy. And I'm starting some decaf before my workout because I don't need caffeine because of the time change, but I need the idea of caffeine so that I can go crush this workout.
So what you're doing is you do your front toes and you step together, and you turn to the side, back, and you kind of drop your knee. So we really want to focus on you are in your front toes, you step together, you turn to the side, you lean side of the side, this leg back out. Arch, and hold that arch as you walk with that back. You're dropping the glutes, and so it makes a big difference. So scoot over just a little bit and hit that front foot for me. Okay. So we're going to yeah, hold it. Okay. Beautiful. Now step together. Turn to the side. Arch, arch, arch. Walk out that knee. Yes, arch. Hold that arch and hit that backwards. There we go. There we go. Yes. Yes. Perfect.
Two, three.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Line someplace for your medals and then line back up over here.
Do you have a knife? I'm gonna burn so many calories just getting in to eat it. I've been waiting on this for weeks. Not weeks, but like a week. And it's all I can think about. And I want to crumble it into chocolate chip cookies because look at this, pistachio chocolate. Italy ruined me. Gave me standards. Like, stuff this into a croissant. That's where it belongs. A shot of espresso.
I should
Do you see how thick this is? Oh my gosh. This is all I want. Oh my gosh. No, it's resealable. I hope that that's not what the picture looks like.
So you got half pistachio and half pear.
It wasn't as good as the quarter brownie I had backstage. Maybe it'll be good in a chocolate chip cookie. It's alright. I'm getting ice cream today. What?
Disappointment.
Yeah, it does.
Like, there's never the flavor of disappointment. That's it.
Can you imagine starving yourself for the last 2 weeks? Waiting for this?
I guess we gotta go back to Philadelphia.
Pistachio cream stuffed croissants.
Just for their
Yeah. Their McFlurry was better than this. Let's get ice cream.
Honestly, doesn't taste like anything.
No.
Yes. I'm not sorry. I like those pictures.